Let's stay with this very important topic as I have joining me live via Zoom. He's the former president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, a professor of accounting and economics at Babcock University. Thank you very much, Professor Ajibola. Good afternoon, Professor Segun Ajibola. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, moderator. How are you?
Very well, sir. It's good to see you, Prof. Prof, when I saw this and saw the relationship of this decision by the Apex Bank with the financial institution, which is the banks, I immediately thought about you. Now, first, what would you say about this? We know what's been happening about our FX market. We've been talking about this for some time. But eventually, since CBN just had to use the big hammer, how does this come to you?
You will notice that the Nigerian foreign exchange market has been one of the most troubled, if not the very most troubled market in Nigeria since the introduction of the Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, in 1986. So lots and lots of policies, ideas, initiatives, changes, shifts, and so on, we have witnessed. But what is happening now is just a pity, because the concept of Bureau de change, we have derogated from that concept for long. That is the market that is expected to mop up foreign currencies from small-time holders and sell to those who are in need of bits and pieces of foreign exchange in the country. But for long, we have shifted significantly from that fine concept. And what we have been witnessing in Nigeria is a situation where we allow owners and operators of Bureau de change to earn economic rent by giving them access to official foreign exchange allocation. You see, this allocation, that's what created a problem in the early 1990s in Nigeria, when so many banking license was more or less for the highest bidder, or to come and earn foreign exchange, cheap foreign exchange through allocation. And that created a crisis during that time. Then we came up with this idea of Bureau de change again, and we started allocation to them. For what? So some of us knew a long time ago that it's not sustainable. Now the chicken has come home to roost. There's no point allocation foreign exchange to Bureau de change operators. Bureau de change operators are expected to look for their own foreign exchange, to mop up from travelers, remittances here and there, and to limited documentation requirements. So because we have moved away from that concept, we are now where we are, where suddenly the Central Bank of Nigeria has to apply the hammer, the big stick. Now it has left us with some gaps. Because shifting now this responsibility of mopping up foreign exchange, foreign currencies from small-time holders in bits and pieces, and selling to them, has transferred a big burden to deposit money banks. Do they have the capacity to run this kind of business? Do they have the presence, accessibility? I think while all over the world, where you have this kind of arrangement is to reduce the pressure on orthodox banks, deposit money banks, is to also make life easy for sellers and buyers of bits and pieces of foreign exchange. Now, if commercial banks, deposit money banks, have to take over this responsibility, will they be able to handle this burden? Would they be able to meet up? Will customers be able to meet up with the documentation requirements? These are some of the questions still begging for answer. But as far as foreign Bureau de change operators as that business is concerned, all I can say is we have seen how this segment of the foreign exchange market has worked in other countries, other parts of the world. In London, they're all over the streets. In New York, they're all over the streets. In Dubai, they're all over the streets. What's the template there? Why is our one different from what obtains in other parts of the world? So that is the kind of dichotomy. That is the kind of pressure. That is the kind of shifts that we are witnessing now in our own.
Prof, so, let me interject and follow up. Prof, let me quickly.
We can only say, let's see what happens.
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Great. Let me quickly interject. The same central bank that oversees the BDCs, oversees activities of the banks, obviously, and other financial institutions. Now, issues of rent seeking, issues of back, or whatever words can be used to describe it, what goes on in the forex market, either conniving with anyone to make more money. Of course, that's the reason why this is done. How do you think, because supervision and monitoring is what I'm after, are you sure that those are eligible and meet all requirements will get effects through the banks? That is the worry. Do you think that we won't face the same problem that we face at the moment?
Nobody can say for sure what will happen. Like I said, it's a big task. It's a big body. Because if you look at those who approach the Bureau d'Exchange, travelers, even for Hajj, for the Christian pilgrimage, those who are rushing out for medical, those who have one problem or the other to solve immediately, will the process of a typical commercial bank allow such transactions to go seamlessly? I cannot say yes or no, but from what I know, it's a major body on the part of commercial. They will need a lot of resources. They will need a lot of paradigm shifts and even management of the foreign exchange market. That's the supervision. Even the central bank itself. When you look at the number of financial institutions in the country today, I was one of those that mooted the idea in the 1980s of other financial institutional departments in the central bank. Then eventually it came. But as of today, when you look at the number of microfinance banks, the number of other financial institutions, can even the monetary authorities cope with the monitoring and supervision of these institutions? When we now add this segment of the market to the responsibility of deposit money banks, how do we ensure that that responsibility will be handled in good faith by all the parties concerned? We have had problem of round tripping, problem of money laundering, and so on and so forth. What will be the monitoring scheme and template that will be put in place today to checkmate this? Then how are we sure that even large users, wholesale users of foreign exchange will not infiltrate that segment of the market when the responsibility is now with the commercial banks? And even we now start seeing denial of access of small-time users to the foreign exchange market. Not to talk of the fears that some have expressed, that hope even the commercial banks themselves will not be tempted to move this segment to the Bureau d'Exchange that have been denied access by central bank. So how are we going to be sure that the integrity of the process will be assured under this new scheme? These are some of the questions begging for answer.
The banks, obviously, when they get the forex, they are supposed to dispose for those that are eligible, like we said earlier. But many say that it's also been reported in some quarters that banks even sell to BDCs at some time. at prices or premium prices that, you know, they could still make profit. It's just clear. It's just like an example of the alleged smuggling of petroleum products, that when you move it out of the country, obviously you sell at almost $1, and fuel is sold at 165 or 163 naira in Nigeria. So it's favorable to move it outside the country. I'm tallying this together because it looks almost the same. This issue of, it comes back to the issue of sharp practices again. So what channels, let's be straightforward now, or frameworks do you think the central bank could use, and we could have more positives than negatives?
Well, I think what we need now is to completely review and re-examine the concept of Bureau de change in Nigeria. That's the starting point. How has it worked, even in some African countries that I've been to? So what's leading us to this kind of situation in Nigeria, if it's working well in other parts of the world? So let's accept, and that will be my own position, let's accept that what the central bank is trying to do now to instill sanity in that system is a temporary measure. It's a measure that is expected to lead us to where we are going. So let's now sit back and ask ourselves, why is this concept not working in Nigeria? What do we need to do? What reorientation do we need? Maybe that will last for some time. Another 6 months, another 1 year, another 2 years. And now re-establish the concept of Bureau de change, the way it has worked in other parts of the world. In the meantime, both the commercial bank, deposit money banks, and the regulator, Central Bank of Nigeria, they have a lot to do. First, for commercial banks to be sure that there's no infiltration, there's no sharp practices, there's no diversion. The minimum documentation that is agreed under the Bureau de change operation and the regulatory framework for the implementation of that Bureau de change segment of the market is also introduced in the commercial bank that will be handling this responsibility. And of course, for the relevant departments in Central Bank of Nigeria to also up the stake in terms of monitoring and supervision. And for the reporting, one is happy that we are talking about electronic reporting. For the reporting, to also ensure that that integrity of the process is upheld. So if we can look at all this put together, why I am still saying, why we are re-examining that concept in Nigeria, then we'll be able to get somewhere at the end of the day. By the time we look at what is wrong with us in terms of Bureau de change operation, what changes do we need to introduce? How do we implement this segment of the market the way other parts of the world have been implementing it and making the concept to work? So it's a lot of job, it's a lot of responsibility, a lot is at stake. Integrity is required. Good governance is required. Due diligence is required. Can we put all this together under the current dispensation? That is the 1 million question. A
really 1 million question. Now, Prof, when we look at this issue the other way, let's also look at the job aspect of this. We have more than 5,000 operational BDCs across the country. Each and every one of them employs 1 or 2 people. So we are talking about some people being pushed again to the labor market. That's another thing that is very important. Unemployment rate stands at about 33.3%. There's underemployment on the other side. So some are suggesting that are there no better ways to look at this issue? Or how do you see this?
I don't agree with that position. Central Bank is not asking Bureau de change or operators to close down now. They are saying you cannot have access to official foreign exchange allocation. What is the problem with that? That is why that's why I was talking about the entire concept as we implement it here. Let them now put on the thinking cap. Perhaps there is now need for education and enlightenment I think trainers exposure, they now have a job to do. Let's train and retrain our Bureau de Change operators. How are others in other parts of the world? How have they been surviving without official allocation? Let those members of staff now be retrained on how to source foreign exchange market. I mean, how to source foreign exchange from various sources. How to encourage different travelers, tourists, to patronize them. I think the market still remains the same. The only thing that has changed is what is not sustainable, giving them free access to foreign exchange market, foreign exchange allocation. I think that is the only thing that the Central Bank of Nigeria is doing. If anything, they can even perform better. By the time they rely less on this allocation, which I have said is a form of economic rent, let them ask themselves, where else can we look for foreign exchange? Which segments of the economy can we mop up foreign exchange from small time holders? Those who have, those who are traveling, those who conduct one kind of business or the other, small businesses here and there. Those who are coming to the country and they need naira they need naira. They want to change their foreign exchange holdings to naira. How do we access them? How do we get them? How do we bring them in? We have 5,000 because everybody was running after license, Bureau de Change license, or cheap money, cheap source of foreign exchange to sell. That shouldn't be the case. So this is the time we now need our experts in the foreign exchange market to carry out a reorientation of the operators and see how the market could be rejuvenated. So I don't take this action by the Central Bank of Nigeria has been taken to throw people into the labor market, to cause unemployment problem. Rather, it has thrown a challenge to the operators to shift attention from official allocation from Central Bank. Look elsewhere for foreign exchange. The way operators in that segment of the market, in other parts of the world, the way they operate the market, let's emulate the best practices and reposition this market. I think that is all. That is the challenge before everybody. It's not to cry and say, oh, we have been thrown into the labor market. I have not read it anywhere where Central Bank of Nigeria says we are withdrawing the license of anybody, except you are engaged in sharp practices.
All right, Prof, I think it's a good way to leave it. Thank you very much for making us understand all of these issues surrounding the restriction of FX for Bureau de Change operators. We thank you so much, Professor Segun Ajibola, professor at Babcock University of Banking and Finance, also the former president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Enjoy the rest of your day.